Hey Warriors fans, let's dive deep into something that could completely change the way the Golden State Warriors play this season. The NBA has officially tightened up enforcement around what some call hot stove contact, basically meaning that defenders can no longer lightly touch a shooter's guide hand without it being called a foul. Before, that kind of contact was just part of the rhythm of the game, almost invisible in the stats, something you might notice if you pay close attention but didn't really affect the outcome. Now, the rules have shifted, and that subtle little swat on the shooter's guide hand is treated as a foul. For a player like Steph Curry, who is one of the fastest releases in NBA history, this is a game changer. He gets the ball, he elevates, and in a fraction of a second, it's off his fingertips. When defenders attempt to block that shot, they often swing at the ball blindly, and now, if they touch his hand even slightly, it's a foul. The implications for strategy are huge. Suddenly, Curry's natural shooting ability is amplified not just by his talent, but by the rulebook itself. He's going to draw fouls, get to the free throw line more often, and force opposing players into foul trouble in ways that teams will need to plan around. Looking back at his career, Steph has been on the receiving end of that kind of contact for years. It's nothing new to him, but the official recognition now gives him an edge. Imagine a game where he's not just scoring from deep, but also consistently drawing fouls on elite defenders, forcing rotations, and creating mismatches. That changes the dynamics of the entire Warriors offense. The team can build strategies around this, isolating Curry, drawing in defenders, and then exploiting the space created when opponents get into foul trouble. Players who would normally be primary defenders suddenly have to sit on the bench, and the Warriors' depth can take over, expanding leads dramatically within minutes. A 2- or 3-point advantage can quickly become double digits with Curry exploiting this new ruling. This isn't about Curry selling fouls either. He's not hunting for them. He's just shooting like he always has, and defenders inadvertently give him an advantage. When we look at his shooting mechanics, that lightning-fast release is already a nightmare for defenders. And now any hand contact that would have been shrugged off is counted. Over the course of a game, this could translate into him getting to the line a dozen or even 15 times, possibly more depending on the intensity of defense and the stakes of the matchup. That level of consistency at the free throw line, combined with his usual scoring ability, opens the door for some eye-popping stats and new career highs. The Warriors are not just getting a star player scoring efficiently. They're gaining a strategic lever that could influence entire game plans and rotations for opponents. Beyond Curry, the Warriors are also seeing development in players who may not always get the headlines, but are showing glimpses of being crucial pieces in this puzzle. Will Richard, for example, has caught attention during the preseason for his relentless, hard-nosed style. Drafted late, his path to the NBA wasn't straightforward, starting a smaller school, transferring, and ultimately contributing to Florida's NCAA title before landing with the Warriors. His approach has been all about grit and defensive effort, and it's already paying dividends. Against teams like the Trail Blazers in the preseason, Richard, alongside some of the other younger or rotational players, helped orchestrate a comeback from a seemingly insurmountable deficit. The team was down by more than 20 points with less than 10 minutes remaining, and yet through energy, hustle, and smart positioning, the Warriors clawed their way back to secure the win. Moments like that are more than just a stat line. They're the foundation for a team culture built on resilience and seizing opportunities. Players like Richard bring that mentality to the second unit, keeping pressure on the opponents even when the starters rest. This preseason has also highlighted how important it is for the Warriors to maintain an undefeated mindset heading into the regular season. Wins in exhibition games don't count on the official standings, but the mental advantage they create is priceless. A hot start can build momentum that carries into the regular season, just like we saw with Oklahoma City last year, where an early winning streak set the tone for dominance throughout the season. For the Warriors, each preseason victory, each stretch where the team executes flawlessly or demonstrates discipline, is a rehearsal for the high-stakes games ahead. It's about instilling confidence in the bench, teaching young players the rhythm of winning, and preparing everyone for the pressure of playoff basketball. Veterans like Draymond Green, Klay Thompson, and Al Horford already understand what it takes to win championships. But blending that experience with fresh energy from players like Will Richard, Moses Moody, and Jonathan Kuminga is critical for the team's depth and sustainability. The team strategy is no longer just about scoring points or defending the perimeter. It's about orchestrating the entire flow of the game to leverage every advantage, from Curry's quick release and free throw potential to exploiting rotations and creating mismatches through smart positioning and disciplined defensive pressure. Another layer to consider is how this new foul rule interacts with the Warriors' offensive spacing and ball movement. With defenders now cautious about touching Curry's guide hand, it creates subtle opportunities elsewhere on the court. A big man like Kevin Looney, Al Horford, or even Jonathan Kuminga can position themselves differently, pulling defenders away from the paint or spacing the floor in ways that open driving lanes for Green or Thompson. Curry's presence at the top of the key now becomes a focal point that demands respect and attention, forcing rotations that the Warriors can exploit. Even against teams with strong interior defenders, the threat of fouls and free throws adds pressure, shifting defensive priorities and creating openings. It's a ripple effect. One rule change affects shot selection, rotation decisions, and ultimately, scoring efficiency across the team. This new dynamic also places more responsibility on the coaching staff to plan creatively. Head coach Steve Kerr and the assistants can adjust rotations knowing that certain defenders are at risk of foul trouble, that Curry's ability to draw fouls could shorten the effective playing time of opponents' key players, and that bench players with energy and defensive intensity can capitalize on these situations. Preseason games are a perfect testing ground for these strategies, allowing the team to fine-tune approaches, experiment with lineups, and see how well the squad adapts under pressure. Players who may not be starters yet, like Will Richard, Quinn Post, or Trace Jackson-Davis, are learning exactly when to push, when to rotate, and how to contribute in high-leverage moments, all while Curry continues to execute his craft. All of this points to a Warriors team that's not just relying on star power, but building a system that maximizes every advantage. From exploiting rule changes to integrating new talent, the strategy is multi-layered and dynamic. It's about understanding the flow of the game, capitalizing on defensive mistakes, and turning small advantages into significant leads. Every rotation, every substitution, and every play is an opportunity to exploit the strengths of the roster while minimizing risks. And as the preseason continues, the Warriors are sending a clear message. They're not just preparing to compete. They're preparing to dominate by controlling both the pace of the game and the strategic possibilities that come from every single rule, player, and matchup. As we move further into the preseason, the spotlight starts to shift slightly from the superstars to the role players who are quietly shaping the trajectory of the Warriors season. Players like Will Richard have already begun to show why they can be invaluable in the rotation. He's bringing that defensive intensity that can completely change the momentum of a game. Against teams like the Trailblazers, Richard wasn't just participating. He was dictating energy, setting the tone for the second unit. While the starters were resting, it was his hustle, his anticipation, and his willingness to contest every play that allowed the Warriors to chip away at a substantial deficit. In situations like that, a player doesn't just score points. He changes the rhythm, forces opponents to rethink their approach, and energizes everyone on the bench. That type of mentality is what separates a role player from a rotation piece who can make an impact on the playoffs later in the season. It's about effort as much as skill, and Richard has shown he has both in equal measure. Another crucial aspect of the Warriors' preseason development is how the team is using these games to build cohesion between veterans and newcomers. Players like Moses Moody and Jonathan Kuminga are still refining their roles and getting consistent minutes against real competition, even in a preseason setting, gives them a chance to understand spacing, timing, and defensive responsibilities. It's a learning environment that allows for mistakes without costing the team a playoff seed, and every positive play reinforces habits that will be essential once the regular season begins. The combination of Curry's offensive brilliance, Draymond Green's defensive leadership, and the developing skill set younger players is forming a multifaceted team where everyone has a clearly defined role, but also understand how to exploit advantages, whether through rotations, spacing, or new foul rules. The upcoming matchups, particularly against the Lakers, carry a significance that goes beyond just the win-loss record. Even though it's still preseason, these games are early signals for the Western Conference hierarchy. For players like LeBron James' successor, the young superstar trying to carry the Lakers forward, these games are opportunities to demonstrate leadership and set a tone for their team. But for the Warriors, it's a chance to reinforce their own identity, a team that can play with pace, precision, and discipline, using both veterans and emerging talent to create advantages at every turn. These games allow coaches to experiment with lineups, test defensive schemes, and understand how each player responds under pressure. It's not about who wins the preseason. It's about who builds confidence, who learns to execute in real game scenarios, and who can rise to the occasion when it truly matters. Well, Richard's performance in the first few games has already provided a blueprint. His ability to stay engaged, contest shots, and make the extra pass when necessary demonstrates that he could become a central figure in the Warriors' second unit. Bench players like him don't just support the starters. They create matchups, pressure defenses, and maintain intensity when the stars rest. This depth is what allows the Warriors to operate with flexibility, adapting to different game situations and opponents. Whether it's switching defensive assignments, closing out on shooters, or creating opportunities in transition, players who can think and react in real time are vital. This is where the Warriors' culture of preparation and attention to detail shows its true strength, combining the experience of seasoned veterans with the raw energy and adaptability of younger players. Curry's influence on the game also extends beyond scoring. His ability to draw fouls, space the floor, and keep defenders occupied opens lanes for teammates. When defenders are wary of making contact because of the new foul rules, that hesitation creates pockets of opportunity. Green can slash to the basket with less resistance. Thompson can find open looks, and the bigs can stretch defenses in ways that weren't as pronounced before. Every possession becomes an opportunity to exploit slight advantages, and the Warriors have shown a capacity to adapt in real time. Their practice of reading defenses, adjusting spacing, and taking calculated risks is already evident in preseason games. This tactical awareness, combined with high-level execution, is what allows them to dominate not just in scoring, but in controlling the pace and flow of the game. Before we continue, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss any exclusive Dubs updates. Let's keep going. The Golden State Warriors are reportedly shaking up the NBA landscape once again, and this time the chatter is swirling around none other than JERAMI. Sources close to the team suggest that the forward is heading to the Chase Center, potentially adding another lethal weapon to the Warriors' already formidable lineup. Known for his elite defense and the ability to drop 20 points per game, Grant could be the piece Golden State has been quietly coveting to solidify their championship credentials. Insiders say the Warriors' front office has been eyeing Grant for weeks, intrigued by his versatility on both ends of the floor. His presence could transform the Warriors' defensive schemes, offering them a reliable perimeter stopper who can also switch seamlessly across positions. Imagine Grant alongside Draymond Green orchestrating defensive chaos while simultaneously giving Stephen Curry, Klay Thompson, and Andrew Wiggins a sharpshooting safety net. The whispers are that this combination could make Golden State nearly unstoppable in crunch-time situations. On the offensive side, Grant's ability to contribute 20 points per night cannot be overstated. In a team that thrives on ball movement and spacing, his mid-range prowess and athletic finishing could provide a much-needed complement to the Warriors' high-octane offense. Rumor has it that coaching staff are already brainstorming ways to integrate him into pick-and-roll sets, off-ball cuts, and isolation scenarios that could maximize his scoring impact without disrupting Golden State's rhythm. Fans are buzzing across social media, with speculation running wild about what this signing could mean for the Warriors' championship hopes. Some say this move signals that Golden State is willing to go all in to reclaim dominance in the Western Conference, while others wonder if Grant's style meshes seamlessly with the Warriors' motion-heavy system. Still, The intrigue alone has NBA enthusiasts talking, because a player who can defend elite wings and drop 20 points a night is exactly the kind of rumor that ignites playoff fantasies. While nothing is official yet, the Chase Center rumor mill is heating up, and insiders are hinting that a deal could be finalized sooner rather than later. If true, Jerami Grant in Golden State colors might not just be a blockbuster signing. It could be the whisper of a new dynasty in the making. The Warriors faithful are holding their breath, waiting to see if the rumor becomes reality, and the NBA world is watching with bated breath. Stay updated exclusively with the latest Dub Nation news. Subscribe to our channel and hit the like button to keep getting daily updates on the Warriors. Don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments. Your input is essential for the Dubs community. Stay tuned for the next video.